Hello, Flickin' Fanatics. It's Jesse Swift and Sean Wingblade back to discuss Star Wars once again. It's been a while, but we're going to talk about Cassian Andor and the newest show from Disney Plus and Lucasfilm right after this. Hello to everyone watching live or watching on the rewatch later,
on the replay,
or anyone that just freshly watched the episode 1 reaction that's now on the channel, courtesy to my reacting and this man's editing. I'm getting better at pointing the right direction. That's how you know I've been doing this too long.
Pointing in the correct direction. Yes, we are going to be doing reactions at least as often as he can film them and I can edit them. So go check out episode 1 reaction now, and the others will be coming as the week goes on.
Man, he looks like a villain in that shot, but I liked it.
He did. Yeah.
That was probably actually my biggest reaction of the episode.
It was. That's why that was legit. That was no posing here, folks.
Like, okay, listen. So full spoilers, and we are going to be spoiling the shite out of the first 3 episodes. They are a little indiscernible, especially when you binge them back to back. I was just rewatching the first 2 with Lauren. I still can't tell you what happens in which episode. I can tell you all the events, but like as far as breaking it up, it's difficult.
Like which happened where type of thing. Yeah,
exactly,
it's a little mush together, just because, especially when you binge them, and you did it so early in the morning.
Right.
I did it kind of while I was driving. I was listening to the show. I was listening to the show while I was working, basically. And then, paying attention when I could. And then I rewatched them after, or I was watching other reviews and like reactions as well afterwards. And so it was, I got it all. Basically.
Well, it ended up biting me in the butt because I walked in the room and she was watching it. And I was like, Tim sucks. And she's like, why does Tim suck? He seems nice. I was like, well, because, And then literally as I said that is when he got like the wanted notification for Andor. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, that hadn't happened yet. My bad. Well, yeah, he's gonna suck.
He's gonna suck. Tim's gonna suck so bad.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, so we're just gonna be talking about kind of pros, cons, overall thoughts and feelings about these first 3 episodes. Maybe what we anticipated versus what we got. Short, sweet, and to the point. And feel free to jump in the comments and let us know, but make sure you like that video. Most importantly, get us going in the algorithms.
Please do that. We don't have any live viewers at the moment, but if you're watching this on the replay, which
I wasn't
most likely you will be, please comment down below. Just let us know which one out of the 3 you like the most. I think that might be the best way to go.
We were just talking about that. I mean, it happens pretty early in the show, but I knew he was going to shoot one of those space cops. We've already seen him shoot somebody in a morally gray kind of way in Rogue One.
Tivik, I believe his name was.
Well, there's some guy with a K. Was that the other guy? Kavas? Kevin? Was it Kevin?
Kevin. It was Kevin.
It was
Tim
definitely
and Kevin.
Kevin. Definitely.
You know those Star Wars names, Tim and Kevin.
Well, it's Tim with 2 M's, so it's very galactic.
Maybe. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. No, yeah. I from the moment he walked in the bar and started getting harassed.
Well, according to the other guy, it's harassed because everyone speaks with a British, Scottish, or otherwise.
But the wheels started turning in my head, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's gonna have an altercation, and this is gonna be him starting low and then getting to Rogue One, murdering his friend in an alleyway. Basically, he's gonna escalate somehow." As we see, he was forced into escalating it because he didn't want it. He just tried to leave,
An escalation of murder, a la Anakin Skywalker.
Well, I mean, he was defending himself. And it, too, jumping to the Republic commander, the officer, whoever, the older gentleman, when Karn, I believe his name is, the guy, the gung-ho guy who's hunting Andor down. When he brings
Jude Law.
Yeah, basically. When he brings the report to his older commander, he basically nailed exactly what happened. He's like, no, these guys were assholes. They picked on the wrong guy, and now they're dead. So let's just try to sweep it under the rug, but we'll use the PR and try to swing it our
Yeah,
way.
because every other detail about the report was like, none of this should be public.
Yeah, exactly.
They were at a brothel, which we shouldn't have. They're drinking drink that they're not supposed to,
Right.
and they were at an expensive brothel on top of that
which
they
shouldn't be able to afford.
Exactly. So he's like, let's just, especially with these two guys, I'm not going to worry about it.
Exactly. But it's funny because he absolutely nailed exactly what happened. He's like, no, we get this. They picked on the wrong guy.
And that really was what kicked off. And I think very early on, and I feel like it's a little bit of an old and tired thing to say, like it's like, oh, it's Star Wars for adults, but I mean, kind of like it's not Game of Thrones, but it definitely feels like
we start in a brothel and he murders some guy, two guys in an alleyway.
He shoots a cop point blank in the face, like it just happens to be lasers, so there's not like brain matter everywhere or whatever. But when watching it, I was like, yeah. The reason that I would say that it's kind of Star Wars for adults is if I had a 5 or 6 year old, I'm showing them Force Awakens and the classics and all this stuff. This show, not that they couldn't watch it, I just don't know if it would keep their interest. Like it's got the stuff that intrigues me, the relationship, the espionage, the building suspense, and how everyone's saying something that means something else, like stuff that you have to read between the lines. I was like, oh, Star Wars is making me think again.
Yeah.
I love that. And Tony Gilroy's doing an amazing job show running. And I know I knew it when I did my reaction. I forgot. It's the same guy that directed the first 3 episodes, I think.
Todd something.
I know his other T name.
Todd G something. I can't remember his name. I'm gonna look it up while you're talking.
Are you just thinking of Tony Gilroy?
No, it was Todd something.
It might have been Todd. I think it was a T name.
Yeah, it definitely was a T name. But so of the 4 big shows that are on right now, all at the same time, we have a nerd wealth of riches.
Oh my gosh,
absolutely gluttony at the moment,
and they're all at most halfway through. So we have at least another month of all this overlap.
Right.
We still got half of She-Hulk. We got half of Rings of Power. House of the Dragon's about halfway through. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 4 or 5 of each of them. So all
9 more 9 more of Andor.
Yes, exactly. What I was saying was of them all, obviously She-Hulk is the lightest fare, comedy wise, right? You're gonna laugh a bit more. Rings of Power is slower. It's more, and not even to say slow, it's deliberately paced. Like it is stretched. It only has, like, if you've listened to, I listened to Casterly Talk and with Ken Knapsack and Rachel Cushing was on there as a guest, and she's like, they only have the rights to like 2 or 3 pages of the appendices. Like, so they have to stretch out this information. So it is very deliberately paced to make it to 5 seasons or whatever it is they're planning for. Game of Thrones, they have a lot of backstory history, and they are flying through time. There's just every episode, years have gone by, and now in the next one, they're jumping forward 10 years too, and they're skipping. They're moving actresses up in age as well. Ooh. So this one we see at the beginning, it be 5 BBY, so it's 5 years before, and I think I heard somewhere, and I can't remember where, some review show said they're gonna take basically this first season is supposed to be like the first 4 years.
That's what Tony Gilroy said. Yeah, and then the second season is all going to be 1 year or vice versa. It might be the first season's 1 year, but it's supposed to, between the two, cover 5 years.
Okay, yeah, right.
That's confirmed. Yeah,
I think that you could cover a lot of his backstory in this first season and set him up and get him to the place he was in Rogue One.
Right, and
then season 2 could be the same character as he is in Rogue One, just a different adventure before Rogue One happens, type of thing.
Right. Yeah. Going on more rebellion-centric missions and stuff like that, which I don't even think he knows that there's anything resembling a semi-organized rebellion yet at the moment. And to be fair, at this point in time, there really isn't. It's like that one officer said, was it pockets of fermenting?
Yeah.
Yeah, which
Right.
we've all decided is a great.
It has to grow.
Right.
Yeah. The director, his name was Toby Haynes.
There it is. That sounds right.
Yeah.
So the things that we get into this episode is Kenari, the name of his home planet we discovered.
Kenari, yeah. Kenari, I believe.
Where we meet his sister, maybe a crush, but we get these flashbacks going into his story, and he lives on which we haven't really seen a lot of before, but what's what I'm looking for? A village that's not yet developed. Primitive,
almost like indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which, yeah, it's we've seen it in like Star Trek before and things like that, but it's cool to see in the Star Wars universe planets untouched by technology, by the Empire, by everything else. But we do find out that Kenari is in the jurisdiction of these cops later on in the show. But that was an interesting through line that goes through all 3 episodes. We find out how Cassian ends up leaving planet, what happened there. There's like a mining ship that crashed, which is where we, get tied in with Fiona Shaw. Fiona Shaw's character, who's almost unrecognizable. Granted, I haven't seen her since 2010, 2011 in Deathly Hallows, if she did show up in one of those movies. But that is Aunt Petunia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a British actress. She's probably been on British television.
Oh, I'm sure she's worked. Yeah. I'm just personally have not seen her since.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then the much anticipated B2 emo. We are introduced.
Emo, yeah.
Introduced to.
He got beat on like a fire hydrant, and I'm like, well, you kind of look like a fire hydrant.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that he wasn't voiced by like Gerard Way or something like that, but.
He was voiced and controlled by the same guy who did the controls for BB-8.
Dave Chapman, is that
something like
yeah, it's Dave Chapman, because I started looking him up and I kept getting Dave Chappelle and I was like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine Dave Chappelle doing the voice of a droid in Star Wars?
that could be funny.
That would be fun.
Chappelle has some acting chops. I really liked him in A Star Is Born as Bradley Cooper's best buddy. Yeah, he's good. I wanted to shout out to my most impressive thing. You know me, I love scores. Nicholas Britell does the score, and I loved the music through all 3 of these episodes. And I was just looking up Nicholas Britell. He did Don't Look Up, Cruella, The King, Vice, If Beale Street Could Talk, Moonlight. He also worked with on 12 Years a Slave, I think, with Hans
several Academy Award nominated films,
Yeah.
not necessarily for music, but
Right.
all high quality films. Like
high
even
quality movies. Yeah,
Cruella got like costuming nominations.
yeah. So yeah, I love the score of the show.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. The piece that sticks out to me a lot is actually in the 2nd episode when Stellan Skarsgård, is it Lethan?
Lenny. No, I don't know.
Lenny Kravitz. It's something with an L. Luthen. I think it's Luthen.
You're correct. Luthen Rail.
Perfect. I didn't get the last name yet, but when he's arriving on the planet and Cassian's like walking through like the scrapyard and stuff, all of a sudden the music just kicks on so hard. I was like, whoa.
Like he has hit the scene.
Yeah, so a lot of the story takes place on we're getting introduced to new planets. I'll get to them. I'll figure them out by the end of the season.
Ferrix or Farst?
Something's Ferric. I don't know.
Yeah. We should have these written down.
Matty Gunner, where are you? Maybe if I say his name 3 times into a mirror, he'll shout some Star Wars bad at
Matty
me.
Gunner. We absolutely should. I believe it was Ferrix, or at least that. I think they kept saying he was from Farst or
Fest.
Fest, yeah, and that's that. Well, at least that's where he was saying he was from, to try to hide his Karani roots, as he's looking for his sister, basically. That, and you can tell that's what he's on the hunt for, because we see, in episode 3 that he went out on a hunt for this crashed ship, Republic ship, because it's not the Empire yet; it's still the Republic, because the Clone Wars haven't happened yet, or the Order 66 hasn't happened yet.
By the Kenari times.
Yeah, in the past.
Right.
he basically gets kidnapped by Fiona Shaw. I mean, she was looking out for his best interest because like he got knocked out or whatever. But essentially, she's just like, all right, hey, you probably live here. I'm not going to try to take you home. You're hopping the ship and we're heading off to outer space. And I was like, okay, I guess that's where the mother figure comes from.
Yeah, and she does say that like the Republic at the time is going to come and probably wipe out anyone around this mining facility. So let's take him. Everyone else, best of luck. Which begs the question: how does he find out that his sister might be alive? Because he was clearly following a lead of some kind.
Some sort of lead, yeah. That makes sense.
Other things to address is the character of Bix, who is another central character in the first few episodes. Really liked her. She deserves better than Tim, so we'll see where that goes. And she is a scrapper that deals in a little bit of occasional shady business.
Yeah. She deserves better than Morbius, and I'm glad she's in this show instead of that movie.
Was she in Morbius?
Yeah, she was in Morbius. Wasn't she she was Morbius' girlfriend, wasn't she? She was. Okay. Yeah, she played Martine Bancroft.
Great work, Sean. You should do like some sort of trivia based thing.
Yeah. I couldn't remember her name. Adria Arjona.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Good luck with that. Did you recognize the hard ass sergeant that Kearns?
Yeah, but my brain just kept saying Wilford Brimley, who in Star Wars, if the movies are canon.
The holiday specials are canon.
No, it's the Ewok special.
Yeah,
so the Ewok movies.
Sergeant Costin, played by Alex Ferns, who was the commissioner in The Batman before he was killed by the Riddler. Spoilers.
Oh, that guy. Wait, that wasn't the commissioner.
He was the commissioner at the very beginning, wasn't he?
Well, I think Commissioner Gordon is Commissioner Gordon in all the older movies, but I know who you're talking about. He gets tied up to a chair and pushed out the window.
He was Commissioner Pete Savage in The Batman.
The Batman?
The Batman. That came out earlier this year.
I thought you said Batman. Okay. When you said killed by the Riddler, my brain went Batman Forever, and I'm thinking of the guy that got pushed out the window, and I was like, that's not a commissioner.
No, he was the mayor, I think.
Listen.
You're talking about Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah, that sounds more familiar.
Right.
Anyways.
No. In The Batman that came out earlier this year.
Jesse, stay on target.
He played the commissioner. And I was like, I recognized him, but he looks so different because he didn't have all the beard and everything, all the scruff and stuff. But
then they had
I had to look him up.
that other officer, sergeant, whatever he was, with the really recognizable voice is Izzy Hands in the HBO show Our Flag Means Death.
I've never seen that.
Oh, you should. But I mean,
never watch it.
There's a million things to watch. Anyways, going back to Andor, the millionth thing that we are watching currently simultaneously with a lot of other genre fare.
Right.
Let's talk about some just general pros, because I have a laundry list, to be honest. I'm loving the show. I think aesthetically it's gorgeous. The fact that they are, and I'm not trying to create a negative connotation with the volume, because I don't feel as strongly as some people do, but you can tell what's real in these shots. You can tell what's a set, what's
tangible.
Built. Exactly.
They feel tangible. Yeah.
And I think to the point where there is a scene on Canary where it initially shows that giant open canyon area. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's weird that shot looks so much like a painting and not real. Because everything else in the show,
really I used it as the background when they're showing the quarry in the back.
Oh yeah, and you covered the painting part, so thumbs up.
I can pull it up. I have the image on the computer.
It's not bad, but it's something about it seems stagnant and like unmoving, like just unalive, whereas everything else felt very lived in.
This guy.
Yeah,
as he was walking through it, you could tell, like, okay, this is definitely all CG. Of course, they're not going to build this all out.
Right.
But compared to the rest of it, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of things in Boba Fett where I was like, "Yeesh, is that the best we could do?" Boba Tea. So, anyways, yeah, the set design, the costume and makeup, and everything's great. But really, I think what sets this show apart above a lot of Star Wars content in general, not just the Disney Plus show, is I think it's very well written.
Yeah.
There hasn't been like a line that made me cringe or a delivery, and I also appreciate that there hasn't, at least thus far, been any stunt casting. And when I say stunt
Oh, right, right,
casting,
right.
I'm making reference to things like, as much as we might love him in the role, Bill Burr, um,
Okay.
the bag of drama and everything with like Gina Carano. She's
Yeah.
not a super talented actress to start with, like before everything came out, and then having Flea in Obi-Wan.
Right.
These are all things that are like, hey, look at this.
And
And
even Tamara Morrison in Obi-Wan, who showed up for a minute to play a clone
yeah,
trooper, down on his luck clone trooper. It did, you're right. It felt like stunt casting is the way to describe it, and I don't think we've seen it. Like, it was Stellan Skarsgård, who's probably the highest build, like, famous actor.
but
I
he's
think
a
it's
very talented,
but
well-known
yes,
actor.
that's what I mean. That's what I was going to see.
Yeah.
Like, he takes, these are the type of roles that we see him in, movies, shows, whatever, and well deserved.
And as much as we love Mandalorian, you have like Werner Herzog and
Mhm.
Horatio Sands and stuff, and it's fun, but
Sure.
it is a little distracting at times. And so far, yeah, Andor 3 episodes, and we're a fourth of the way into the show, which is
Yeah.
wild. And it's very immersive, and I think that's one of my biggest pros for the show.
Absolutely. I mean, what you said, yeah, the writing, the dialogue, the entire scene with the whole here's the report, and then the guy, the older security. I can't remember what the name of their troop is called.
We'll get there.
but that whole conversation, he's like, you know what, this is how it's gonna go. And it's like, yeah, that would absolutely be like a real, life type of scenario. I mean, there's a reason Rogue One is like most people's, top star. It's my number 2 Star Wars movie. I think it's most people's, top.
Is it
3,
Empire and
if
Rogue
we're being
One?
honest. Yeah, it's The Last Jedi and Rogue One. I think you know this.
Shame on you. You know what's funny is like that fact I have categorized as being so traumatic, I forget it every time you tell me. It's okay.
Moving on. Rogue One is fantastic, and I think that's something everyone can agree on, despite my number 1 being most people's most hated movie. But I really like too that they're almost playing on, and I've heard this from many a review show and stuff like that too, is they're playing on real world tropes.
Sure.
In the sense of shout out to Apocalypse, Brian mentioned this, that the cops, or when they kill Tim, they basically are like, all right, you go back to the ship, let's cover this up, let's split. So essentially it's like, you're playing on, real world, what could happen with police forces and police brutality and stuff like that. They mention I think it's in episode 1 when they first hassle down Cassian. They say, "Oh, what are you doing here? Did you swim over?"
Yeah.
And that's almost a, that's essentially a play on him being of, Hispanic heritage and Latinx. I'm not sure exactly the correct term for it, but basically you're straight up saying it because you came from this indigenous peoples, right. like you're not supposed to be here.
It's not an accent. How did you get here
in
Star Wars very often?
True.
And then so we're seeing prejudice in Star Wars, which there's another point I want to bring with that, but go ahead.
Well, then too, when he's talking to Luthen, and he's this is a scene we saw like a week or 2 ago, when he's hounding him. I was like, how did you get this? How did you get this box? How did you go in? He goes, no one expects a guy looking like me to walk right in. So if you do it with confidence, they'll assume you're there. They're not going to assume that I would be dumb enough to break in. Essentially commenting on his looks and how,
so fat and satisfied.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're playing a lot on real world, I don't know, tropes is the right word. Real world dregs, honestly, like bad things, and then you're bringing it into Star Wars and making it feel real, tangible.
we talk about things being tangible, and I'm glad you brought up the point of like prejudice in Star Wars,
Mhm.
because it unfortunately is something that adds a bit of relatability or reality to this fantasy world. And
Yeah,
I've made
true.
jokes with you about how Lauren and I talk about how there's a lack of yearning in Star Wars. Like, where is sexual attention? I don't need to see sex in Star
Oh,
Wars,
right, yeah.
but the existence of
Sure.
sex, I think, is important to have a world feel like there's
It's
people.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there is an illusion,
Yeah.
basically. Like, it's not graphic or gratuitous or anything, but clearly two people have sex in the show.
Yeah.
And I was left feeling like this instantly became one of the most, even though I don't like love their relationship or anything, it was one of the most grounded approach to a relationship in Star
Mhm.
Wars, and it made me believe in what was happening
Yeah.
a little bit more. And the treatment of the space cops, for lack of a better term, as I was like, hey, like it or not, this happens.
Yeah.
Pro or anti whatever, this is a real thing. And
They
so
did the sex, and she asked for some coffee afterwards. I can appreciate her.
exactly. And to spoil a reaction up and coming, don't expect, I gotta be transparent, don't expect a whole lot of sympathies when they're painting some of these guys in like bad lights, and they're definitely ransacking a house, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
makes sense.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I have thoughts and feelings, but anyways, yeah, all those things contribute to it feeling tangible, like we keep saying, and
Mhm.
lived in. And I'm really liking it. Is there anything that stuck out as being an outright negative?
Honestly, no. I mean, pacing didn't jump from jump. Pacing,
Right.
it started slow, but it was the perfect amount of. First of all, they released these perfectly in a three chunk, because this was a story arc.
Right.
Right. This was absolutely an act one of a movie, which in itself is an arc, right? So you absolutely we're ramping up, and it crescendoed perfectly in the last, 5 to 8 minutes of
Right.
episode 3. And it was exactly what you needed. It slowly introduces you to people, introduces you to the world, the planets. And then by the end, you're on board. You know who everyone is, you know what they're doing, what their goal is, and they're off to the races. And I've heard that there's going to be a time jump. And like we talked about before, they're going to cover in this first season like 4 years, hopefully. So next we see might not be from the moment we left them. It might be him and Luthen have been, doing whatever for a year. And we even see Stellan in the trailers with longer hair, and he
Right.
had very short hair in these episodes.
Just hanging out down the street, same old thing they did last week. Exactly. Well, yeah, I think if this was released, if these 3 episodes were released weekly,
Mhm.
I might feel like the pacing was slow.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting 7 days to see like the next scrap of detail. But because we got to watch this hour and a half basically or
Mhm.
so of story, it felt like we watched a movie at drop. Now it's an incomplete movie, but the pacing to me felt very spot on. Like, Lord of the Rings, they're very long, but I never lose interest. I'm interested in every scene that's happening. And
Right.
that's kind of what Andor feels like. It's taking its time. And that's something that Star Wars shows and the Marvel shows, also a lot of the Disney Plus stuff, hasn't seemed to have been given the luxury to do. So
Yeah.
I think it's really refreshing to get one of these stories that, 12 episodes, 40-ish minutes. So it's not 20 some like
Right.
WandaVision or Mandalorian.
Mhm.
I think that is what like an hour of television used to feel like.
Yeah.
Like Supernatural shows are about 42
Right. Yeah.
minutes or something
Exactly.
like
With
that.
the commercials and stuff. Yeah.
So this is an hour-long show without commercials, basically.
Right. That makes sense.
So yeah, so far I don't really have a negative, and like I said, there's no performances that really stick out in negative light to me, like good
Right.
or bad, antagonistic or whatever. I'm enjoying everybody, even snot-nosed Boy Scout leader of the space cops, until I come up with something better. Scout about, hey buddy, welcome to the chat.
Welcome, Scout. Thanks for showing up. We were actually probably just wrapping it up.
Kinda, sorta,
Let
yeah.
us know in the chat how you thought about these episodes as we're wrapping things up. Yeah, it was honestly, yeah. There's not a lot of negative to touch on, other than we have to cram all this content in every week. And
true.
so hopefully, I hope that each show kind of really gets each of the 4 shows rolling right now, really get their time to shine and don't get overshadowed. So I'm so happy that Disney moved She-Hulk and Andor off of the same day. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm excited for the next episode. I want the next one now.
Yeah.
I'm mad they gave all the critics a 4th episode. And I've heard that the 4th one is like absolutely, it takes off in a different direction. Not a different direction, it's still the same show, but it's like it starts a new chapter. This was chapter 1. This chapter's over. It's starting a new chapter and taking you a different direction.
So we're estimating that's 4 years. So what if there's a time jump every 3 episodes?
Yeah,
it
exactly.
Kind of
jump a year.
Measures out. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, really quickly before we do move on and wrap things up, I do just want to one more time say that currently right now on the channel, we do have our episode 1 reaction to Andor there. And if you want to see me lose my ish at about 5:30 in the morning, it looks something like that. So check that out. Please like and comment on that video if you want to see more of them. Also, Sean, I always have to think about, for some reason, every time I start the S, my mouth's like Scott. Sean, it's that one, the second one. What do we have going on Saturday night, 7 p.m.?
Saturday, we got a party. Our own Miss Allison is turning 21-ish, 20 with some years of experience. And so, yeah, come hang out Saturday night, 7 PT to about midnight. We'll hang out for as long as people want to hang out with us, to be perfectly honest. We got all kinds of fun games and things and this and that. And, we're it's a bit of a, I guess, not really a fundraiser, but it's a, donate and we'll have extra fun and games to do.
Extra fun. We're going to have donation goals and stuff like that. And
don't know goals.
Don't know goals.
Don't know goals.
I don't know goals. Do you know goals? And they will all be contributions to Allison Salamoni. She does a lot of hard work on this channel, providing you guys with some really great audio content with the You've Never Seen It, which, if you guys have never seen it, you should check out this show where she talks about movies that she's never watched with some really amazing guests. And there's Schmodown personalities and some friends and family members and all kinds of cool variety. But check that out. That is a fantastic program here on our channel.
I think we missed the upload for this week. She was busy this weekend, so let me see if she did. No, the last one that came out was Moneyball. So, but I believe she watched The Hustler and Color of Money. So that's out on the audio platforms. It's just not up on YouTube this week.
I've watched Hustlers, not The Hustler.
I have watched Hustle.
Nice.
With Adam Sandler.
Oh, that's true. That's the new basketball movie.
The Netflix one. It was really good. Actually, I definitely recommend it.
Really quick, I will bring up. All right.
Go ahead.
Just no.
You go.
Perfect. Diego Luna is a standout. They should have made it 10 episodes with today as 1 episode. I was watching DC's Stargirl. That's why I'm late. Well, Scout About, I'm glad you were, because somebody needs to, right? Yes. I'm just kidding. That's rude.
Honestly, I never even tried Stargirl. I was so out of the CW verse by the time it premiered that I just didn't even go.
It started out as a DC Universe show, just like Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn, which those two are fantastic. Titans is not for me. Some people enjoy it. I'm probably going to watch all your reactions for Andor at once. Hey, well, if the view's now or later, it's still a view, and we still appreciate your support.
We do appreciate it.
So,
and I'll tell you what, there are no spoilers in the first minute. So what you could do is at least click the video, like the video, comment on the video, just leave an emoji. Just give it like a face in the emojis section, in the comment section. Yeah, and that all helps. And it helps bump it up in the algorithm. So we do appreciate you.
You can throw it on your watch later list right now. That's true. Give it a little Megan the Stallion down in the comments. So we appreciate that. All right. Well, guys, that's some of the stuff we have coming up. And, of course, Friday Speakeasy, like we always do, where we're going to talk about She-Hulk. And unless somebody cancels on me, I'll tell you right now, folks that are fans of the Schmodown, SEN, and all that good stuff, was it Capes and Cowls, I think is the current channel. And watch-alongs on
the Christian Harloff channel.
Bringing all this up to say it's not Christian Harloff, but Winston Marshall will be on the show Friday night, hanging out with us, talking some Marvel, talking some business, and all that good stuff. So
Winston's good people.
Yeah, Winston is good people. We haven't seen him since we did our Hawkeye review, I think, a while ago. And that's not because he's been dodging us. I just don't ask people sometimes. And then I was like, hey, you want to come on the show? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, cool, great, fantastic. You're on.
Come hang out. We'll talk about life and everything in between.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and there's also going to be a lot of those good people from that community on Allison's birthday stream as well. So stay tuned for that. And upcoming projects also to be announced. TBD.
Well,
TBA.
We were going to do a 500 sub celebration, which we didn't schedule accordingly, and it turned into a 600 sub celebration.
September is the busiest month we've had like all summer. So.
And then we didn't schedule our 600 sub celebration. So now, you know what? Now we got 700
subs. We just hold out till the end of October, see if we hit 1,000.
I'm going to make I'm going to make a thing, but it's definitely going to have room to put the number 8 on it, just in case we hit 800 by the time it actually happens. Perfect. We'll see when we can schedule it. So that'll be a good time.
Did you already say what we're watching? Doing a watch along for?
Yeah, we've said it multiple times. We're gonna watch RRR. Do a watch along one of these weekends when we can actually get all 4 of us together.
Yeah. RRR, just in time for Talk Like a Pirate Day, which I think
sounds like a scary movie, Scout, and no thank you. But Jesse will probably watch it.
I've never watched a Hellraiser in my life.
I've never seen any of them. Should I have my kids do a trailer reaction?
Yes, because the track record currently for your kids is pretty fantastic.
Right? Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that's about enough. And we appreciate everyone being here, especially you, Scout, and everyone who's watching on the replay. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if it's your first time.
Keep it real.
Bye.